Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Sunday, August 4th, 2019, and today we're going to be looking at the 2020 Senate elections based off the current composition of the 116th Congress. So I'm pretty much taking the House Representatives composition because this is the Senate. I'm going to apply the 2018 results pretty much to the 2020 Senate elections. This is purely a numbers-based video. This is not in any way a prediction. It's just for fun. I like doing these because it takes a little bit of a break from the overall prediction idea about predicting who's going to win, the Republicans to the Democrats, and this one's just purely based off numbers, and then we get to talk about it for a little bit. So the states that are in dark gray are the states that are not up for re-election. So we only have about 34 states that have elections up. Keep in mind, every state has 2 senators, so it's about a third every single 2 years with 6-year terms in the Senate. But we start off with 31 Republicans and 35 Democrats. Now, if we're looking at this map, the Republicans definitely have a lot of seats up. We have almost the entire South. We have the middle of the country, some areas in the Northeast where the Republicans may or may not have a hold-in. We'll see. But pretty much we're just going to be looking at this, composition, the Senate results based off of the House composition following the 2018 elections. So some of these actual Democratic states are not up for re-election, which means that the Republican Party might actually have an advantage at this point. I'm just looking at the general map of the U.S. House. You guys can't see it on your screen. I can see it on mine because I'd rather not reveal the results right in the beginning of the video. But they do have some interesting things. I will be doing this by margin. So let's say the Democrats have 1 more seat compared to 5 more seats. That one you'll be able to notice the difference between the two. So we'll start off on the west and slowly move our way over into the East Coast. So Oregon is a pretty Democratic state on both the presidential level and also on the House level. Definitely a lot more Democrats than Republicans. Alaska, some of these states, keep in mind, only have 1 representative, so this one's 100% Republican, but that's because there is only 1 seat there. Some states do have 100% Republican, but usually those are states with a small amount of electoral votes. Idaho has 2 Republicans, 0 Democrats, obviously going to go to the GOP. Idaho actually in 2008 had one of the seats, I believe Idaho's 1st district flipped to the Democratic Party. It was an Obama election. I think it was a really, really close election. I think in 2010, actually, that Democrat was endorsed by the NRA, one of the only Democrats in 2010 endorsed in the House Representatives races, but he did lose his re-election bid. But Idaho's 1st district went to the Democratic Party back in 2008 very, very narrowly, and then flipped back shortly after, and has since had 2 Republicans in the House Representative seats there. Moving over to Montana, one Republican. There actually was a special election here back in 2017 that was pretty interesting, and a regular election in 2018 that was interesting. Wyoming, a solid GOP state. You pretty much expect that. Same thing with South Dakota, another sole representative state. All 3 of these, Wyoming, Montana, and South Dakota, have 1 representative. Nebraska has 3 Republicans. Nebraska's 2nd district sometimes is close in presidential elections, but not so much in the House Representatives elections. Though there was a 2018 Democratic wave, it didn't exactly spell out good news for them in the state of Nebraska. Kansas, surprisingly, has 1 Democrat, 3 Republicans, but that's still enough to keep in the safe column. It's not really too close. Looking at the state of Oklahoma, again, actually Oklahoma's 5th district, which was not rated as a toss-up or even any type of lean or likely, but safe Republican, flipped to the Democrats on election day in 2018. I think that is pretty interesting. And moving over, we have the states of Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. So New Mexico has 3 Democrats, pretty much 100% Democratic, involvement in the House Representatives there. Colorado narrowly has more Democrats, and I think this is recent based off the 2018 midterm. Same thing with Arizona, 5-4 in Arizona. Right now, narrowly for the Democratic Party in the state of Arizona. Puts the Democrats at 39, puts the Republicans at 39. We still have a number of southern states to go through, which is why I think the Republican Party is going to do pretty well there. Texas has some interesting results based off the number of seats there. I guess you could say it would be a likely state. Louisiana would also be safe, a safe GOP state. Pretty much all of these southern states you already expect to be safe for the GOP. If we're talking about Louisiana, Mississippi, why did I say Alaska? Alabama, Arkansas, these states that are typically held for the GOP obviously would be held again. I actually want to talk about possibly, Texas. Though there weren't too many House pickups back in 2018, we have a recent retirement from Will Hurd here in the state of Texas. I believe Texas Texas's 23rd district. It was a very narrow victory for the GOP back in 2018. I believe they narrowly lost to Gina Ortiz. She is a veteran. I covered her back in 2018. Texas's 23rd district was very, very close. I believe he is the only African-American GOP congressman, which is also a notable loss for the House of Representatives. And there's a number of other retirements coming in, but he's one of the most recent ones. But Texas's 23rd district, if the GOP is not able to hold on there, they're probably not holding on in other areas, which could flip the balance of power in terms of the House. Not flip it, actually, just favor the Democrats a little bit more. Obviously, they're in the majority right now with Speaker Pelosi. But enough about Texas. Let's move over to Arkansas. I believe this one actually has 4 total Republican representatives. There was a point in time in 2008 where if I base this map, I actually might even do that in one of my videos. Wow. In 2008, I guess, House Representatives map based off of the Democratic pickups, and the finalized map, the congressional map was blue everywhere. I mean, we looked, we had a seat in Idaho that went to the Democrats. We had a seat in Arkansas that only one of them went to the GOP. We're looking in the South, a number of Democratic representatives there. 2010 was the year it all changed. That was the year from then on out. It was pretty much GOP involvement everywhere. We had the GOP pretty much dominate the South, and even now we see them dominate the South in presidential elections, governor elections, and also in the House of Representatives elections. I think it's pretty interesting, to be completely honest with you. Tennessee, we have another safe state for the GOP, along with Alabama and Mississippi. Again, Mississippi has 4 congressional districts, I believe, with 6 electoral votes in total. I believe there's 1 for the Democratic Party, but still, that's 75%. Still going to go to the GOP at large. South Carolina and North Carolina. North Carolina is extremely gerrymandered. We know that now, but obviously, I think things like that are going to change with the redistricting if Roy Cooper does win again in 2020, and he's a pretty popular governor, so I think he actually might. Going over to Georgia, actually, that is a state that is going to be pretty much likely for the GOP. It puts them at 48, puts them extremely close to that 50 if Mike Pence wins with Donald Trump, obviously, or if the Democrats win, they would need 51, but it's putting them very, very close while the Democrats are behind at 39. Virginia is pretty interesting. This one recently was dominated by Republicans not even 8 years ago, and now in favor of the Democratic Party. Likely, though, but still in favor of the Democrats. I think that's pretty interesting. Just something a little notable to cover for the state of Virginia. 2019, actually, so this year, they have upcoming statewide elections, which could hold big news for the Democrats. They were able back to, in 2017, flip the state delegates, House of Delegates, from a supermajority for the GOP down to a 1-seat majority for the GOP. I believe it went from 66 to 34 down to 51 to 49, and that 51 was won by a coin toss, which avoided it being a balance of power or a straw, whatever the Virginia, I guess, House did. But yeah, so I think that there's going to be some interesting results from Virginia later on in the year. And we have some interesting governor elections going up, so I might live stream the 2019, I guess not really midterm elections, but midterm elections. West Virginia is completely Republican. Kentucky as well. We had an interesting race here back in 2018 actually, in Kentucky's 6th district, if I'm not mistaken. Amy McGrath, who is now running for Senate against Mitch McConnell, which could be pretty interesting. Going over to Illinois, dominated by Democrats. Same thing with Iowa. 75% of the representatives there are Democrats, which is also pretty interesting to me. Minnesota would be likely for the Democratic Party. Michigan, we're going to have to come back to. I'll talk about that at the, I guess, end of finishing off the rest of these Democratic states. Delaware, sole representative. New Jersey had a number of pickups for Democrats there. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maine all have pretty much all Democrats there. So the reason why I have yet to fill in Michigan is because it is a tied state. There are equal Republicans and equal Democratic representatives. Now, I'm going to move the Michigan seat in favor of the Democratic Party. Just real quick, just to point out something. Presidential elections typically favor the Democratic Party in terms of the House and the Senate. 2016, Clinton lost the general election, but the Democrats gained 2 seats in the Senate and 6 seats in the House of Representatives. If we go back to 2012, the Democratic Party gained a number of seats based off of what we saw in 2010, flipping a number of them back in 2012, some of the old Republican seats, obviously. 2008, we almost had a 60-seat majority. We almost saw the Democrats winning a 60-seat majority against 40 Republicans. It ended up 59-41. For just looking at recent history, it seems like the presidential elections typically favor the Democratic Party, which is exactly what I think is going to happen in 2020. If we're looking at the Senate elections, Alabama is flipping here, Colorado is flipping here, Arizona is flipping here, Maine is flipping here. Keep in mind the Republicans already have 53, the Democrats are at 47, so this would actually be good news for the Democratic Party. So I'm going to leave Michigan as a pure toss-up just for right now, but if I was to characterize Michigan based off the incumbent and based off the trends that we've seen, I would say Michigan is a Democratic state. But that finalizes this map at 50 Republicans and 49 Democrats. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.